All right, now we're going to take a look at the FRQ number 3 from 2017. And this one is all about melons from two distributors, J and K. Now the first one is only about distributor J. Do not read forward. Read what they give you so far. Don't read ahead because you're not going to use the bottom stuff to do the top part. But part A, they tell you that is at approximately normal, so you know you're going to be using a normal model to solve the problem. So the first thing I would expect to see is a normal model drawn. It needs to be labeled with N and with the mean and standard deviation, which they give you to be 133 and 5. My person does not have that labeled, but you also need to make sure you have labeled the cut point and you have shaded to the right because it's greater than 137. It is labeled and it's shaded to the right. So that means the picture is done and there is directionality implied there. Okay, so now that's so far 2 checks. Now the next thing we're going to do is the P ofs. All right, so we have P of, now instead of X they use D for diameter that's greater than 137. Okay, check. All right, now they calculated the Z-score within the P of Z. So the Z-score is equal to 0.8. I'm hoping that you have the Z-score calculated. X minus mu over sigma. 137 minus 133 divided by 5 is equal to 0.8. My person has it. Okay, you probably have it done separately, so I'm going to give them the check for calculating the Z-score. And then the next thing I'm looking for is P of Z greater than 0.8 listed? Okay, and the next thing I'm going to look for is, all right, I'm going to look for, right in here, normal CDF from 0.8 to 999. That's missing on this paper. That's calculator speak. It's not expressly required. I do require it just because it's a great way to show direction just in case. And then the final answer is 0.2119, and my person has that done too. So in this particular one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 checks. My person got 5 out of the 7, doing okay, pretty well. If you're getting about half the checks, you're probably doing okay. Now, the next part B, they give you some more information. And this one right here, just like in class, when you are given sort of like base probabilities, and then you're also given conditional probabilities based on something else, you know it's going to be a tree diagram problem. And that's exactly what this one, the easiest way to solve this problem is to draw a tree diagram. So the tree diagram goes off J and K, 70%, 30%, and then to get to whether their melons are over 137 millimeters in size, you have to use the answer for A right here, and then subtract from 1 to get the naught. And then they give you what K, a melon from distributor K's probability of being greater than 137 is, and you have to subtract from 1 to get the naught part. So if you have, okay, look carefully, if you have that tree diagram drawn, give yourself a check mark, okay? Now we're going to do the P of. We're looking for that the probability that you have a diameter greater than 137. I see it right over here. They did it a couple of different ways. That ultimately is what we're trying to find. And then we're going to whoop, whoop down the branches, okay, because we're looking for this one here or this one here. Both of those ways are giving us those large melons, okay. So we're going to whoop, okay, plus the other way of getting to is the other whoop. So the work is shown, and the answer works out to be 0.40072. Check. So in this particular problem, 4 checks. All right, my person has all 4. And now moving on to the last part, C. Okay, and this one, it says, given that, as soon as you see the given, you know you're working with conditional probability. All right, so we know that this melon chosen is already on the big side. It's greater than 137. And we're supposed to find out what the probability is that it came from distributor J. So the first check is, do you have the right conditional probability set up? J, vertical line, and then big or greater than 137 or something like that in your answer. So maybe you just have greater than 137, or maybe you have a big melon or over 137 or something like that. But make sure the order is important, okay? So the formula chart, the and is on top, okay, greater than 137 is on the bottom. And remember, they designed them for you to be able to use previous answers, okay? So on this particular problem, the and is whooping down the branch, all right? And so 0.7 times 0.2119 is to get the whooping down the branch. The bottom right here is what we got for the answer for part B. So that is a check mark. You don't have to redo the problem, but if you go ahead and show all your work, that's just fine too. And then the final answer is 0.3702. So this last one, that will give you your last check. And so there are 4 checks on this particular problem. So in this particular problem, 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 7 is equal to 15. So going up to the top, we're going to figure out how many points that you got out of the 15. My person got 13 out of the 15. You figure out how many you've gotten on this particular problem, and that ends the grading for this problem.